this month I'm even less prepared than usual, so I'm going to try and keep this quick. We're going to very briefly go over a couple of topics, like just what I've been up to recently, and then I'm going to try and do like a mini review of Pokemon Legends Arceus, but that's just going to be like off the top of my head, so it might not always make sense. I was considering writing like a proper review about Pokemon, but I just don't like writing, to be honest, and that was the choice. I still want to, but I don't know if I ever will. Right, first, what have I done recently? Mostly I've just watched a load of shit. I have watched a lot of TV shows and anime and films in the last month for no particular reason. Here's a list. I watched Dorohedoro, Akame ga Kill, Brand New Animal, When Supernatural Battles Became Commonplace. I saw Spider-Man No Way Home and The Matrix Revolutions. I watched all of Darling in the Franxx. School Live. I watched The Kingsman, which is awful. I finished watching What If, because actually I thought I watched that last year, and it turns out I didn't. I watched all of Hawkeye, all of The Mandalorian Season 2, all of The Book of Boba Fett, and I just finished watching the first season of The Mentalist, because I really liked that show when it was first on, and just felt like rewatching it. YouTube started recommending clips of it to me, and I watched them, and it just got me in the mood to watch the show, so now I'm watching the show. Same thing happened to me last year with House, actually. Watched all of House, because YouTube recommended like clips of House to me. I don't know why it does this, but it works out for me, I guess. So, in terms of the things I watched, all of them were pretty good, except The Kingsman, which was like actually awful. It just didn't make any sense. Like, the bad guy is like a random side character, and his plot makes basically no sense. Like, I have no idea why he wanted... No, like, his plot was basically to cause World War I, which is what happened. But I have no idea why he wanted to do that. Like, I don't really understand. Like, he makes some, like, vague allusions to how he is Scottish and he doesn't like the English, and I was like, okay. But how does starting World War I help that? I thought he was going for, like, some sort of, like, Scottish independence angle, but he just didn't. And, like, I don't understand. Also, the bad guy's base is on top of a mountain. And I say that because that is literally all the information we know. We just know it's on top of a mountain, and we have no idea where in the world it is. Well, apparently it's very easy to get to because no one has any issues. I think it's Switzerland. I might be wrong. I remember there being a lot of cheese. It doesn't actually tell you. No one tells you. And what I mean is, like, no one even tells the characters where it is. The closest we get is one guy goes, oh, it's the only place in the world you can get this thing. And then from that, they just know exactly where to go. I don't understand. Like, I don't understand why, for one thing, the bad guy would make it so easy to find him. Because apparently, if you know where this one thing comes from, you know where the bad guy is. But also, like, how did they know anyway? Like, it's just a bad film. And then they reveal Hitler at the end, and that's just weird. Like, the entire fucking film is just, like, kind of weird, not very interesting, and doesn't make any sense. I also saw a lot of people complain about Matrix Ressurections, but I thought it was fine. Right, so there are valid complaints about it, by which I mean, like, there are a lot of complaints about how it just doesn't look very good, and like, yeah, that's totally true. I don't think it looks very good. I think it looks actually worse than some of the older films. The effects in it are just bad. It feels like they did not spend long enough on it. But then there are, like, complaints about how the film is just, like, retelling bits of the first film's story again, and I'm like, yeah, that's kind of the point, though. Like, that's literally, like, one of the plot points in the film is about how things are repeating. Like, it's intentional. It feels really weird to complain about that. If the complaint is that they don't think that that's, like, good, they don't enjoy that aspect, okay. If the complaint is that they don't think it makes sense, it is explicitly explained in the film why that is. So, I don't think that's really, like, a valid criticism. I don't think it's a great film, it's a fine film. But just some of the criticism I saw of it didn't actually make any sense. I watched Spider-Man No Way Home, like I said, that was really good. I enjoyed that a lot. I don't know if it was the best film I saw last year, I remember seeing a lot of people saying it was, and I don't know if it, well, you know, I didn't see it last year, I saw it this year, but you know what I mean, came out last year. I don't know. I thought it was pretty good. I enjoyed it. Feel like they could have gone more places with what they had than where they did. I don't know. Like, it was fine. I thought it was fine. Like, I enjoyed it. Yeah, I kind of went on like an anime thing. So I actually started this because I wanted to watch Durarara, and it's not on Netflix anymore, but Dorohedoro was, and I was like, Okay. Like, that was literally the only thing. I was looking for one of them, and I found a different anime that started with the letter D, and I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. I only watched Dorohedoro kind of by accident, in that I thought it was a complete anime, and it turns out it's not. Like, the anime ends partway through a story arc, which is... I don't like doing that. I like watching, like, one season anime, stuff that tells a complete story in one season, and then that's the end. Like, I like that. So I tend to avoid anime that doesn't do that. So I actually wouldn't have watched Dorohedoro if I'd known it didn't end. But I enjoyed what I watched, and I will watch another season. But it's just not normally how I do things. But yeah, so like, because of that, I went on a thing where I like finished some stuff that I'd started previously, like Akame Kill and School Live. And then the other ones are, I think, they're all Trigger anime, just because I like Trigger, and I was like, these are ones I've not previously seen. Brand New Animal is probably the best of them. I did actually really like Darling in the Franxx. I know other people didn't like it so much. I thought it was fine. Like, I remember when it came out, people complaining about it a lot. And I've watched it, and I tend to avoid, like, reviews of stuff until after I've watched it or, like, played it or whatever to, like, form my own opinion first and then see what other people think about it. I don't really care. I don't use reviews and stuff as, like, a whether or not I should do a thing. I use it as, like, a way of seeing what other people think of a thing I've already done, basically. Like, I find that more interesting. I don't mind having, like, a bad experience or a good experience. I just want to know what the thing I'm interested in is like. Like, I didn't actively watch any reviews for it or anything, but I remember seeing people talk about how they didn't like it. And then I've watched it, and I don't really get why. It did all the things I wanted it to. I thought the characters were interesting on fine, like, at worst. The only thing I found a bit weird was the giant mech at the end. If you've seen it, you know what I mean? Like, I thought that was a bit fucking weird. But besides that, like, that's, like, the closest thing I've got to a complaint about it. I really liked it. I like all Trigger animes, it seems. I think Brand New Animal's the best. I think I already said that. You might notice that things I'm saying don't quite make sense. And it's because usually I would write notes, and this time I didn't. So I'm literally just rambling off the top of my head as I read things on my screen. I'm, like, looking at a list of the things that I've watched recently and just, like, trying to come up with a sentence about each of them as I look at them. I did enjoy Hawkeye. It did end weird, though. I thought it was longer than it was, and it turns out it's only like 6 episodes, so it doesn't really feel like it reaches a conclusion, it just kind of ends. Like, it does wrap up all of the story, but it just seems to end very quickly. It was kind of weird. Like, I thought it was going to go on a bit longer. Like, it feels like we're, like, missing 1 or 2 episodes. It's just a bit strange. It just felt weird. But it was fine. Like, I enjoyed it. And Hawkeye was, like, always probably one of my favourites. I just like Hawkeye. I just think he's cool. Like, that's it. I think Iron Man is probably my favourite, but also that's probably because that's just what got me into it. I've watched that film a lot. There hasn't been a Hawkeye film. Maybe if there'd been a Hawkeye film, I would like Hawkeye best. I enjoy Hawkeye. I've always thought he was kind of cool. So, like, I was just glad that he got a show, and, like, the show was good. I thought it was a bit weird seeing... I don't want to say too much because I don't like spoiling stuff. There's a character that has been in a thing previously and they come back. You probably already know, but he wears, like, a Hawaiian shirt, and it just amused me. I just thought it was funny. I watched The Mandalorian Book of Boba Fett, like I said. The best episodes of Boba Fett are the episodes that aren't really about Boba Fett and are about The Mandalorian. I do find it weird that the Book of Boba Fett also just basically undoes the end of Mandalorian Season 2, which is a bit strange, but I like what it did. I just thought it was weird that it did it. Mandalorian also has, like, a weird issue to me. All of the other, like, Disney Plus shows are episodes that tell one long story. Whereas The Mandalorian it's got, like, an overarching plot, but each episode is like they call it, like, a Monster of the Week thing, don't they? Like, each one is, like, a single one-off story, and then they go on to the next place, and it's a single one-off story. And there are, like, threads that interconnect them, but they're all, like, not really related to one another. Like, if you could ignore the outside stuff, you could watch an individual episode and still understand every single thing that happens in it. I don't like that because it doesn't feel right. What I mean is, it leads to the episodes feeling kind of, like, odd. Like, the pacing of the individual episodes feels a bit weird, like they feel kind of rushed. It feels like they kind of, like, end at weird points a lot of the time. Actually, quite a lot of the time it's literally just him flying off the planet and that's the end of the episode. And, I don't know, they never end right. They never feel like they end properly. I think Season 2 might have been better than Season 1 in that regard, but I wouldn't say by much. And I'm not even totally sure because it's been a long time since I watched Season 1. But yeah, like, it's fine. Like, I like them. I like all of these things. I'm, like, pretty easy to please, apparently. There's very little that I, like, actively don't like. But then again, I suppose it's less that, and more that I just don't finish the things I don't like. I start a lot of things, and I just don't finish a lot of them, and it's generally because I don't care enough to. Switching topics, we'll go on to games I've been doing recently. I played for my, like, half-hour episodes, was a game called Paradise Lost, and the bits that I played in the video were actually really good. Like, not amazing, but I enjoyed what I did. They call them walking simulators, which I've always found a, like, kind of derogatory term, but you know what it means. You're walking through, like, a Nazi bunker and, like, learning stuff, and, like, I was interested, and it didn't feel too bad to play, but then it was weird. The bit where I ended the recording, the day after, or sometime around the day after, I started playing again, and loaded into the game, and was just stuck in place. And it turns out that this has been a bug in the game for over a year that they've just never fixed, and the way you fix it is you go into the options menu and change one of the visual settings, and then you're allowed to move again. I found this out because I was looking at the support forums for it. It was a very fucking strange bug. Like, it was really weird. Like, why would changing my resolution mean I could move again? Or one of the things that fixed it was turning off the head bobbing animation. That means you can move again. Like, it's just fucking weird. That is to say that I decided to start playing more of it, and then basically the entire experience from that point onwards wasn't anywhere near as good. Like, that bit started off kind of buggy, which immediately put me in a worse mood. But I think it's just that it takes forever. And then they quite quickly, after I stopped playing in the recording and was playing on my own, they quite quickly introduced, like, another character who you, like, talk to and stuff. And it just slows the pacing down even more. Like, it was already a quite slow game, but as soon as it adds someone else, it feels even slower. It's really weird. It's because, like, a lot of the time, like, they're, like, slowing you down because, like, you'll be in a cutscene where you're having a conversation. Like, you could just talk to me while I move, but like, you can't. Or they have, like, audio recordings and stuff, and if you press play and walk off, like, you just can't hear it. That leaves you just stood in place listening to it. And there's a lot of stuff like that. And it's weird because I played the first, like, hour of it. None of this was there, and then the second hour of it introduced all this new stuff, which slowed the pacing down so much, and I just immediately stopped caring. I think I turned it on one more time after that, and I was like, shall I play some more? And I think I moved, like, a foot, and I was like, no, I just turned it off again. Like, it just immediately became not enjoyable anymore. Which is, like, a shame. I feel like I'd be interested in the story, but maybe not. I don't know. I wish it had kept me, but it just, like, lost me very quickly after that. The main thing I've been doing, and the main thing I wanted to talk about, though, was Pokemon Legends Arceus, which I don't think is very good. At best, it is fine. It's not even fine, really. It's not very good. The way my scoring system works is everyone starts at a 5. If something bad happens, it loses a point. If something good happens, it gains a point. Like, you know, one of the reasons why you very rarely see a review of mine for a game which is under a 5 is because if it's under a 5, probably just don't play it anymore. I don't know how much more of Pokemon I would have played if I didn't already have the investment in it. It just wasn't very good. It wasn't very fun. It started off kind of fun. Like, I liked going around and catching the Pokemon. I said in my, like, mini review of it that it makes a lot of welcome changes to the traditional Pokemon formula, and it does. I like going around and just catching the Pokemon like that. That's the only change I like. I think I dislike every other change. I don't like that I've got to catch loads of Pokemon and take them back and then show them to a guy, because it just feels kind of slow. I think that should have been faster. You catch a Pokemon and you get some points, and then after enough points, you, like, level up, and that's basically your gym badges instead of. So you get points by researching Pokemon, and that increases your rank, and that lets you use stronger Pokemon, and it lets you, like, do more stuff. I don't really know what else it does. Like, they kind of gate certain areas in the game by you not having a high enough rank. I think the only time it occurred, I wasn't rank 5, so I couldn't go to the final area until I got it. But that's the sort of thing they do. I just don't enjoy it. It takes too many points to level up. It takes, like, thousands of points, and at best, fully researching a Pokemon, I think it gives you, like, 200. You get 10 points for each task completed, and 100 for fully completing it. And it, you know, takes 10 tasks to fully complete it. So you get a bonus 100 for completing it, 10 points for every task you do, so that is 200 points, isn't it? Right, so that's 200 points of Pokemon, but that means that you have to complete at least 5 Pokemon for each area, I think. And that only works for like the first couple of areas. Like the first area or two is like 1,000. The first rank or two is like 1,000 points. And then by the time you're doing like 4 or 5, it's like 2,000 or 3,000 points. And it's such a drag. Like, it slows the pace down so much, it just wasn't interesting. Just one thing that really annoyed me, where like it tells you to sneak a lot to catch Pokemon, but the Pokemon just seem to see you from anywhere. Like, the Pokemon just like, your sneaking does not seem to work on them, except when you're in tall grass, and even when you're in tall grass, it doesn't even work all the time then. Which was just like really frustrating. The further into the game I got, the less likely I was to catch anything, because it seemed more work than anything. These 2 points are kind of interrelated, so let's go with the combat first, because that will feed into it. So, the combat is also just bad. The way it works now is you throw a Pokemon out, and it hits another Pokemon, and then that starts a battle, and then they fight. Okay, sounds normal. For some reason, every single wild Pokemon is stronger than your Pokemon. I have no idea why. If your Pokemon is the same level as the opposing Pokemon, you will lose. It makes no sense to me. Every time you hit them, it does like maybe 20-30% of their health bar. It always seems to do the same amount of damage. But they will hit you and do over half of your health in a single hit. Like, anytime you don't kill a Pokemon in one hit, basically, you lose a Pokemon. They've made all of the combat worse, and this is the reason, really, why I wanted to write about it, because the combat complaints I've got are like, there's a lot of them, and it's kind of complex. They've made it so it's now like an active battle. It's not really active, but it's got like a different turn order. It used to be, 1, then 1, then 1, then 1, but it's not anymore. You get 1, and then they get 1, but then it's all based on actually like your Pokemon's speed after that. So sometimes Pokemon will get multiple attacks in a row, and other times they'll only get 1, like stuff like that. You can also like use different mechanics to speed yourself up or slow yourself down to do more damage, stuff like that. Like, it's not confusing at all, but it's just, there's a lot to it. Now, the issue with that is just about every single combat encounter I was in, if I didn't hit them and kill them on the first turn, they would immediately get at least 1, if not 2 attacks off, which would kill my Pokemon. You've got a team of 6, it's not such a big deal. There aren't any like centers or anything, and like you can craft revives, but you're having to like go around and then hunt for all the stuff to craft revives, so it's like you're having to like revive a Pokemon after just nearly every single battle you're in. It just makes battling not worth it. The only times it worked is if you are way stronger, and I'm talking like way stronger, like 10 levels is not enough, like 20-30 levels higher, I had no issues then, obviously. But for some reason, even if you're like 10 to 20 levels higher than a Pokemon, it still seemed to do way more damage to me than I was doing to it. This wasn't like a matter of like the Pokemon I was using was bad. It was no matter which Pokemon I was using only Alpha Pokemon, because Alpha Pokemon are stronger than normal Pokemon, and it was still happening to me. But yeah, so you're having to use like a revive every single time you're in a battle, and it's just stupid. Like, I obviously wouldn't do that. I'm actually incredibly... I don't like using stuff, so I would always just go back to base if any time one of my Pokemon died, which is just really inconvenient. You'll be out in the field, you'll get in a fight, and then immediately run back, go to sleep, come back, and then you can do it again, but it just takes time. It's just not fun. But then we get into the Alphas, and the Alphas are even worse. Alphas will, like, kill a Pokemon in a single hit, even if you're the same level as them. It's just infuriating. The reason it bothers me even more, though, is you've got your Pokemon, you manage to use your team to get an Alpha down to catch it. You catch it, use that Alpha is now immediately weaker. So you will go up to a level 50 Pokemon with your level 50 Pokemon, they'll both be Alphas. You'd think they would, like, trade hits, they don't. Like, the opposing Alpha will always do more damage to you than you can do to it. And it made no sense to me. Like, there is a thing about, like, they get, like, wild strength, which makes them stronger. But it's so much. Like, the combat just feels incredibly unbalanced. So, you would think to, like, grind it out, wouldn't you? But that just means doing loads of wild battles. Because there are a couple, but there aren't really any trainers. The trainer battles are kind of viewed as, like, boss battles in this game, which is when we get into my next issue. In a normal Pokemon game, you're in a combat encounter. You do damage to the opponent's Pokemon. That Pokemon dies. Your team, or your Pokemon, but as of more recently, your entire team gets XP. Yeah? Not so in this game. In this game, your Pokemon only get XP if your Pokemon is alive at the end of the battle, not after a Pokemon has died. Which means if you're in a battle against a trainer and they've got 3 Pokemon, and you get down to your last Pokemon, the only Pokemon that gets XP is your last Pokemon. So every other Pokemon in your party that did any damage during the battle just gained nothing from it. You end up in this situation where, like, you're just not getting any stronger. Battling Pokemon does not make your Pokemon stronger unless your Pokemon are already stronger, because they won't survive otherwise. It's just, the entire system is, like, ridiculous. Any single one change, I think, would have been okay. But they throw so many of these changes to you at once. Also, the next issue I've got, they can just have multiple Pokemon out at once, and you can't? And I don't know why. In the other games, you've got, like, double battles, or sometimes they have the triple battles in, like, Black and White or whatever. It's not like that. In this game, you can go up against a trainer, and the trainer will just have all 3 of their Pokemon out at once, and you can have 1 Pokemon out. And that just means you get hit 3 times when you can hit them once. It is just bad. Now, the way they balance that is by making the other Pokemon a lower level. I think one of the final battles, like, the main Pokemon is like a level 50, 60, something like that, and the other 2 are like level 40. And yeah, that's like better, but how about either let me have more than 1 Pokemon out at once, or only put 1 Pokemon out at once. The entire thing, I just hate it. I just really hate it. I hated every single time I had to have a battle in this game. It wouldn't bother me so much, but you have to do them. And this leads into my final, and in my opinion, probably the worst complaint I've got about it. One of the main points of Pokemon to me has been going on a journey with your Pokemon. I tend to play the games where I will catch like a team at the start and play with that team for the entire game. Like, usually solid 1, 2, 3, or maybe solid 4, 5. In the last game, I had 5 Pokemon that I kept with me the entire game and a 6th slot that rotated every now and again, but even then it wasn't very often. In this game, because of the way the combat works, and because it's so hard to level up a Pokemon to be usable, it completely ruins that entire experience. You just have to go and catch whatever the strongest Pokemon is you can get at them at any one time, and it just devalues them completely. I have, like, no emotional attachment to any of my Pokemon. I have had a Typhlosion, which I made sure to keep, just because I didn't want to get rid of it. But I had a Luxio, a Luxray. Like, Luxray is one of my favourite Pokemon. I love that Pokemon. And I was really excited to use it, but it was shit. It very quickly got outpaced by just random things in the world. And it was just like, oh, well, why would I not just replace it then? I could have had a team that I enjoyed using, which was my plan, but if I'd have done that, I would have had an even worse experience than I did. It just... The way that they've balanced the game makes one of the core parts of Pokemon no longer tenable, and thus completely ruins the game for me. I just find it baffling. And it's just annoying, because like I like what they're going for. I just think it's incredibly poorly implemented. The changes they made to combat, I can understand. The changes they made to, like, going around and catching Pokemon, I love that. The research stuff, no. I get it. No. Like, it's just not fun. Crafting. I touched upon this briefly before. I hate crafting. I just don't enjoy it. This weird thing, you get a farm. From the farm, you can get apricorns, or, like, you know, ask them to make other things. Over the course of the game, you can upgrade that farm 3 times, so you get 4 fields. Once you've got 4 fields, you can get more types of things. But each field only does more types of things. It doesn't increase the amount of the things you normally get. So what I'm saying is, if you have 1 field, and you ask for apricorns, you get somewhere between 30 and 70. 30 seems to be the baseline, but I had 70 a few times. I think that's like when it's a really good harvest. So you upgrade it to get 2 fields, and that says you can do apricorns or a different type of thing. Okay? You still only get the same amount of apricorns if you ask for apricorns, despite having twice the amount of fields. So it's not really 2 fields, is it? It's just 1 field that you're using for 1 crop. There is not... It literally shows you that there are more fields. But the more fields don't get used unless you use the other crops. Like, you don't get more of a thing for having more fields. You just get more things you can get from the fields. But you can't have more than 1 going at a time anyway. Like, if you've got 4 fields, you can't ask for 4 things. You can still only ask for 1. And you don't get more of that 1 thing either. Apricorns are what you use to make Pokeballs, so they're basically always the thing you want. The actual point of this was that there is a farm where you can go to get apricorns, which is how you make Pokeballs. But maybe I'm wrong, but I couldn't find a way of getting the other crafting materials you needed for Pokeballs. There are 2 materials you need. You need tumblestones, which are rocks, and apricorns, which are apricorns. You can get the apricorns from the farm. I have no idea where you're supposed to get tumblestone from. I know you can get it out in the world. I know you could buy it from the shop, but you can also buy apricorns in the shop. You can also get apricorns out in the world. There is nowhere in the town where you can send someone to go and mine for you or something. Like that, if you've got a farm where you can get materials for making Pokeballs, why can you not get all of the materials for making Pokeballs? Maybe I'm wrong and I just missed this, but I put 40 hours into this game and didn't find it. If I've put that much time into it, finished the game and everything, I feel like if I've missed something like that important, the game did not do a good enough job telling me about it. It makes no sense to me. There are so many things in this game where I'm like, oh, I see what they're going for here. Why is it implemented so poorly? I don't know. I feel like this is kind of like Marvel's Avengers. And what I mean by that is Marvel's Avengers is a games as a service title, and Square Enix told Crystal Dynamics to not look at any other games as a service title while they were developing it. And it's like, well, how do you know how to do things if you don't look at the things that already exist? And that's exactly how I feel about Pokemon. It feels like there are a lot of these systems that already exist in other games. Like, a lot of this is very similar to, like, Monster Hunter stuff, but it just doesn't do a very good job of actually doing the basic stuff that you would do. It's like they felt the need to reinvent a load of things and then missed a load of shit because they felt it needed redoing. It just annoys me so much because I actually wanted to enjoy it. And I just don't. I finished it. And, like, there are aspects of it I enjoyed, but there are way more aspects of it I didn't. I'm trying to think if there is even anything else. There's so much to Pokemon, and so much of it I didn't enjoy. I like Sneasler. There you go. Sneasler is cool. And I like that when you ride the Sneasler, you're just a pair of eyes sticking out from a box. I think that is probably my favourite part of the entire game. Oh, there you go. There's another complaint, though. You get the ability to fly. You don't get the ability to gain height, though. There's different elevations, like as you would expect. You can't gain height. When you call out your bird, it takes you up to a height, and that's where you stay. So to gain height, what you need to do is take off, fly to the next highest thing you can see in the area, land, and take off again. And you have to do that every single time you want to gain any elevation in the entire game. It's fucking ridiculous. I just try not to complain about it too much, but like, every time I think about the game, I just think about something else I don't like. It just annoys me because I was really excited. I was excited for a change. I just wanted it to be different, and it is different, but it's different it's not different in a bad way. The differences are good. They're just, like I say, all incredibly poorly done. And it runs really badly. Like, it doesn't run badly, in that when it's running, it runs okay, but every now and again it'll just suddenly hitch. You'll pan the camera, and when you do, the frame rate will go from, like, I'm not great at spotting frame rates, I just can tell you when the frame rate's different. I'll say 30 just for the sake of it. It's running at like 30 and you'll turn the camera and it'll be like 10, then back to 30 again, and it's like, why? Just why does it do that? It would make sense to me if it was like an occlusion thing, but it happens like completely at random. It's not always stuff that you've not been looking at recently. It's just seems to be completely at random. You'll turn the camera and suddenly the frame rate just dies, and then it'll come back and it'll be fine, but then you'll turn the camera again and it'll die again. It's not replicable enough that I can work out where it's happening, but it happens frequently enough that it's an issue. I'll probably think about more things I don't like. I will say that I've been playing Horizon, and very slow start, but I've gotten a bit further into it now, and I really like it. I'm recording this the day before Elden Ring comes out, and I'm a little bit annoyed because I hoped to be further into Horizon by the time Elden Ring came out, and I'm not. I'm nowhere near. Like, maybe like the first like 10 hours in, if that. I was trying to avoid playing them both at the same time, and honestly, I don't think I will play them both at the same time. I think I will play Elden Ring for a little bit and then kind of stop caring about it and then go back to Horizon. Kind of burnt out on Souls-likes. I don't want to be, I like Souls-likes, but I just got so burnt out. I think I was talking to someone about this the other day, and it happened. I finished Nioh, and I liked Nioh. I did all of base game Nioh, and I did about half of the first DLC for it, and that's where I stopped, and I never went back. And basically from that point onwards, I have stopped caring about Souls-likes. I want to. I keep buying them, and I play them for a little bit, and then I'm just like, and then I just fall off. Like, I've done it with every single Souls-like I've played. Like, I've not done Demon Souls on the PS5. I bought that on release. I was dead excited for it, and I played it for a couple of hours, and I've just never been back to it. Lords of the Fallen isn't very good, but the same thing happens with that. I considered going back to it, and just because I've heard that it's quite short. So I was like, well, maybe that'll get me back into it, but nope, just don't care. There are other Souls-like games that I've played, I'm sure, that I always play them, and I'm like, I will play more of this, and I never do. I just like, something about them puts me off now so much. Sekiro isn't really a Souls-like, but I fell off that very quickly as well. I hope Elden Ring is more interesting to me, but I honestly don't feel like it's going to be. If it is just an open world Dark Souls game, I feel like I'm going to fall off very quickly. Which is a shame, but there's not really anything I can do about it. What I can do though is give a quick channel update. There's not much to say. The LP of Omensight started, and it's most of the way through. Originally I was going to try and have that finished at the end of this month, but that would have meant me combining some of the episodes, and they just didn't feel right. So that's going to end at the end of next week. And then after that, the next LP will start. I already am recording it, and you will find out what that is quite soon. Monster Hunter is going to continue. I have reached a point with it, though, where I'm not sure what to do anymore. In terms of recording it, the only thing left for me to record is the event hunts, and I just don't know how much I care about that. I don't know if I want to do them. To give you some idea, I fell off Monster Hunter World because it got to the point where it was just fighting tempered monsters all the time, and I don't care about that. And a lot of the event hunts in Rise are fighting Apex monsters, and I don't care. I just don't care about that. And it's just like fighting Apex or like stronger versions of the Apex monsters, and I just don't care. I don't like that. I know people do, but I never have done. I want to fight new stuff, not stronger versions of the old stuff. Like, even the colour variants are new enough. Like, I realise it doesn't sound like much, but even that is enough for me. But when it's just the same monster but with an extra 20,000 health, I don't care. Like, it just doesn't interest me. So, I'm not sure what I'm going to do in terms of recording now. Now, I might do the arena and the challenge stuff, but I also, like, I don't care how well I do on those things, so it might just be, you will see me do that hunt once, and whatever I get is whatever I get, and then I never play it again. I'm just trying to decide. I honestly don't know at the moment. Sentences are going to carry on like normal. This podcast very nearly didn't happen. I will hopefully try and get another one out next month. I wanted to write a scripted video about Pokemon, like I said, and I kind of ended up doing this instead. I might end up doing it, but probably not. I spoke about doing an awards thing, and I didn't do that. I want to do it, but I probably never will. I just don't like writing. I do have an idea for writing a video, which is going to be a tier list, but it's not on something I would normally talk about, which is why I haven't decided whether or not I'm going to do it yet. But I might do. I might ask people if they care. I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. I think, though, that's it. Like I say, I realise this might be a bit rambly and not really make sense. It's just because I didn't make notes this time. Give me a second. I need to get my outro up. Special thanks to all of my patrons. You can join them over at patreon.com/Holden Gatsby, and for $1 a month you'll get to see what I'm working on early and get exclusive roles on my Discord along with other rewards I might think of. You can also just follow me there if you want to for free, as it's probably the best place to see all of my content as soon as it's available. There's links to the Patreon along with my Discord, Twitter, Twitch, and all the other podcast platforms in the description for this episode. Finally, don't forget you can email me using podencastby@gmail.com if you've got anything you want to say. Thanks for sticking around. Bye. Special thanks to my patrons, Justin Wood, Hobbs, Koopy Vegeta, Gunrunner, Water, and Bat. You can join my patrons at patreon.com/Holden Gatsby, follow me on Twitter @Holden Gatsby, and follow my Twitch at twitch.tv/Holden Gatsby. Don't forget to subscribe to both of my channels. Thanks for sticking around. Bye.